All right, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, March 4th at 9 a.m. and we'll start the meeting. Aaron, do you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll start off with our consent agenda. Public comment.
Public. And you don't even have a Polina hat on this morning. It's no Polina hat. That's why you can't talk.
Okay, on to the consent agenda. Probably won't do this every meeting, but I'll go one more time and then we'll do it intermittently. But consent agenda, the reason we have things on the consent agenda is because we've already talked about them and they are not very controversial. You know, we assume that things that we put on there are not things that people want to have discussion, but at any time, if you do see things on the consent agenda that are things that you would like to talk about, feel free to bring that up at the public comment period or give us a call or any of those things, and we're happy to move them to discussion. So I would entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Oh, to approve minutes. Okay, I make a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a date on those minutes?
There's
though?
numerous minutes.
A bunch of them. Okay. All right, approve the minutes as presented.
Barney seconds.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Hermrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
All right, Aaron, you're up.
Thank you, Commissioners. Aaron Boyce, Lieutenant for the Sheriff's Office, here this morning to request the signature for the acceptance of the second half of our behavioral health reflection grant funding. This is the program that we have had going for the last 2 years. Happy to answer any questions if you have. We've already been awarded the grant. This is the acceptance of it.
No, I really appreciate how hard you work to get grants, different dollars for the parole and probation. So I'm good.
And I agree with Seth. Thank you very much for all that you do.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
And I make a motion to do the signature for acceptance of phase 2 BHD grant funding, BHD 27-05.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Hermrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
John?
Commissioners, John Eisler, Community Development Director for the record. We have before you Order 2026-08. It's for an appointment to the Planning Commission. This is for position 7. We have been advertising. We advertised this position beginning back in November through our normal process pursuant to Order 2022-52. We had 3 applicants. There were strong applicants. We went through our normal process. The Planning Commission made their recommendation to you, the Board of Commissioners. Their recommendation is to appoint Monty Kurtz to position 7. It's a 4-year term ending in 2029. Monty has been a pro tem Planning Commissioner since how long? I don't know. I just would say he's been a great asset to the Planning Commission. He has been prepared for every hearing. He has done his homework. He has asked good questions. And I think the rest of the Planning Commission would love to have him as part of the regular crew up there. So that is the recommendation. Are there any questions for me or any questions for Monty?
No, and I have heard the same thing from the fellow commissioners that you are prepared. You've read your material, which is very, very important. They were all very encouraging for you to have this position. So I make a motion to approve Monty Kurtz to position 7 of the Crook County Planning Commission, Order 2026-08.
Second.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
My only discussion is we've heard from community members at numerous meetings that Monty isn't the right fit for our Planning Commission. So personally, I'm not in favor. I'm obviously one of 3, but I just wanted to voice that opinion that throughout the process, we've had numerous people come to our meetings. And I personally have had numerous calls saying that that's not the person they want to see on their planning commission. I think it's our job to listen to the public and, when we can, do their will. So
Thank you, Commissioner Crawford. I just want to, for my 2 cents, I'll say that it's important to have a good diversity of opinions and perspectives up there on the planning commission. And the planning commission themselves gave the recommendation. So I respect the members of the public, but just want to share that we need to have a geographical diversity and a background diversity, and that's what makes it full. And then you have, the best 4 out of the 7 votes, but I understand your concern.
Don't learn from the people that think like you do. You learn from the people, and I agree with John. The planning commission is very near and dear to me, and it takes diversity because that is what makes a good planning commission. So again, like I say, I endorse his appointment. I think he's put his time in. I think he does his homework, which is really important. Sometimes there's a lot of reading that puts you to sleep, but yes. So I respect the public's opinion. But I also think they need to come to a meeting and watch how the diversity works for the asset of our planning department.
And I'll just say, my voice is a little bad, but I will try to say, John, I appreciate what you're doing for the planning department. I appreciate all the people that are on the planning department, all the members. I think they do a great job, and I respect what their decision and their information that they have gathered. And I know Monty, and I think Monty will work well in the planning commission. And so I fully endorse Monty and the planning department and their decision, planning committee and their decision.
I appreciate that greatly. It's not an easy job these days. And so
No.
the volunteers coming to do a lot of homework with very hard applications, with a lot of hostility from either the public or the applicants. And so, other people want the job, they can come and apply, but it's not an easy gig. So I respect everybody on the planning.
Absolutely.
all right, all those in favor?
Oh my God.
Barney, aye.
Crawford, nay.
Thank you.
Thank you, John, and congratulations, Monty.
Yes.
Hope you have as good a time as I did.
Will?
Oh, good morning, Commissioners. Will Van Vactor, County Manager. The next item on your agenda is the appointment of a budget officer for the Ag Extension Service District. I'm recommending that the board appoint Tim DeBoot as the district's budget officer for fiscal year 27. Under Oregon local budget law, the governing body must appoint or designate a budget officer to prepare the proposed budget. The budget officer is responsible for assembling and proposing the financial plan and required budget documents, to coordinate with staff and present the proposed budget to the budget committee. I'm recommending Mr. DeBoot because of his extensive experience with the Ag Extension District and the Extension Office. He has previously served as the district's budget officer and is familiar with local budget law. And I think he makes a natural fit for that role for fiscal year 27. And I'm happy to answer any questions the board has about the appointment of Tim to that role.
I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, I also support Tim in this position and agree. And would move that we accept him.
And I will second that motion.
Any discussion?
I just want to say, Tim, thank you very much for doing this. You bring continuity at a time when we're just a little bit figuring our roles out, and you've been there for so many years. You're the horse that keeps plowing ahead, and thank you very much for doing this for us. Well, I maybe flip the blinders out every so often, but thank you very much.
Yes, I will echo that. Thank you, Tim, for stepping up.
All those in favor?
Hermrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
Right. Will?
All right. Next up, in your packet is a restatement of the board's goals and priorities. These are the same goals and priorities we discussed at the budget meeting in January. My ask here today is that the board formally adopt the goals and priorities as formally formerly approved in a less formal manner at the budget committee meeting in January. And just for the sake of a quick refresher and to kind of inform the public of what the board's goals and priorities are for fiscal year 27. I have a quick PowerPoint and we can just run through the 6 goals real quickly. Is that ready to go, Brianna? So goal number 1 is to continue to provide outstanding service to the community. We do this through continuous review of defined core services and service levels, and by standardizing operating procedures. Goal number 2 is maximize current and future resources to maintain financial sustainability. Again, we do this by aligning departmental and countywide plans to address funding gaps and integrate financial strategies. And we also find efficiencies while providing core services. Goal number 3, foster collaborative culture within the organization. This will increase retention and recruitment efforts, build cross-training opportunities, and build camaraderie across departments to ensure better understanding of different roles throughout the county. Goal number 4, enhance the quality of life, livability, and safety of the Crook County community. We do this by prioritizing core services that enrich our community and maintain Crook County values. Goal number 5 is to continue to develop and implement an organization communication strategy. We do this by establishing protocols and expectations, leveraging technology to improve service efficiencies and communication, and continue advancements in transparency and engagement. And goal number 6, implement an organization-wide facilities plan and asset management program. We'll do this by creating a facilities plan, identifying capital investments for needed improvements, and improve the county's asset monitoring and management. So again, these goals and priorities were just discussed at the January Budget Committee meeting. These are important as they help guide budget planning for fiscal year 27. A copy of these goals and priorities were previously provided to departments to help inform their budget planning and budget requests as we go through the planning process for fiscal year 27. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board has. But again, my ask is just that we formally adopt those for purposes of including in the budget planning for fiscal year 27.
Perfect. Thank you, Will. Yeah, no, I think we did a good job going over them and continue. I hope we can plan to continue to go over them on a yearly basis and make sure that they are priorities. We tweaked a few, but mostly I think we've done a good job in the past of picking goals that are overarching and good to be used.
Yeah, and I want to thank you, Will. I think you're moving the county in a great direction. Appreciate all the hard work that you've been doing and, composing these things, putting them together and having all the meetings with all the department heads and working through this. I think you're doing a great job. I would move that the Board of County Commissioners approve the goals and priorities for fiscal year 2027 as presented to guide departmental planning, budgeting, and organization initiatives.
I will second that motion.
Any discussion?
I mirror Brian's comments. You're doing a very good job.
Thank you. Well, I really appreciate the team we have here at the county and all the work everybody puts into, from department heads to the budget team to helping put a great budget document together every year and make sure we're making the right decisions to move the county forward and meet the goals and priorities of the board. So thanks to everybody here at the county.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Rick, aye.
Barney, aye.
Okay, Will, you got a report?
Yeah, kind of along the lines of the goals and priorities conversation we just had. I just wanted to give a quick update to the board and folks here this morning in terms of where we are with the planning process for the fiscal year 27 budget. So starting this week, we are meeting with all of the departments to go over their budget requests. That's kind of a 2-week process. And by the end of next week, we will have met with all of the departments to review their budget requests in detail and address any issues or concerns that may exist. We'll get through that process. And then later this month, the budget narratives that go into each department section, those budget narratives are due. So we're moving right along. The budget calendar was previously approved by the board, and we're kind of right on track with where we're supposed to be as far as budget planning goes. So just wanted to give a quick update there. I also wanted to make a quick note. It looks like we will not have a quorum. I think all of the commissioners may be out on March 25th of this, so the last work session of this month. So we're going to plan on canceling that meeting on March 25th, and we'll get that notice out as soon as possible.
Do you need a motion for that?
I know.
Is that a?
We didn't have to do it. We didn't have to do
Okay,
it last
I
time.
just didn't.
And then just quickly, I wanted to note, our current website has been migrated to the new platform. The new platform, so it technically, it kind of is a new website, but it's really just a migration of the content from our prior website to the new platform that the website provider is using now. That is up and live. A lot of the content from the previous website has been transferred. We're still working out some kinks and then go through some additional refinement. The new platform will hopefully allow for some better engagement with the public, make it easier to sign up for certain newsletters, notices that the county may send out. So if you have any issues with the website, please let us know. But more than likely, we're working on cleaning up any little tweaks that need to be made currently. But the new website is live.
I really like the a la carte options where you can pick separate, different planning versus the county board of commissioners and be able to figure out what you want information, or you can take it all. So yeah, I think it's well done.
And I want to thank, I know there were more folks involved, but Brianna and Chelsea have been working hard on that to get that up and going. So greatly appreciated.
Right?
I think it's good also because Brianna likes it because it intermashes. She doesn't have to type in a lot of the minutes and the different things. It all comes under one program. Agendas and things like that. So
And if Brianna likes it, we're all happy because she.
we are.
It takes care. I know Seth is probably better, but I know Brian and I, without Brianna and the computer, we would be tearing our hair out. So I want to thank Brianna for all her help, and always with a smile.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm
Yeah.
sure you wish I would not be yelling your name.
Yes, thank you for everything, Brianna. Ryan?
So I have on Commissioner update, I guess I will put this on, is we all received a letter or an email from the Chutes Basin Board of Control requesting that the county do a declaration of a drought. I reached out to Ochoco Irrigation District and asked them to supply us with some information to substantiate our present conditions. They did, and they also sent a letter asking us to declare a local drought. So I think before us, we have a resolution and an order number 2026-10 that says in the matter of declaration of a local drought and a request to declare a state of drought emergency for Crook County, Oregon. And it's presented before the board today and hopefully on the idea of approving it. This is only for the irrigation district, it's for the county as a whole. And to be forthright, I will say that I am also on the board of directors for Ochoco Irrigation District, but where it does not pertain, entirely to them, I'll ask legal whether I should participate in that vote. Eric?
think participating in that other public entities board creates a conflict. I don't see where their interests will negatively impact our work here for a commissioner member. So my legal advice is you keep yourself on that basis.
Well, I make a motion to approve resolution in order 2026-10.
I will second that motion.
Any discussion?
I will say, I was surprised, like I say, going to Plano this weekend, the moisture in the ground, but the river looks like it's full. It does not look like it's supposed to be. So we are in some serious trouble. So, yes, we need to do this.
We are.
All those in favor?
From Rick, I.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
All right, Commissioner report, had a really, good trip with, Commissioner Hemrick back to Washington DC. We met with lots of different, senators and our representatives. And, one of the things I was most excited about is I was able to meet with the Senate Natural Resource Committee about, potential, getting some land for BLM for a second access out of Juniper Canyon, as well as safe spaces in a bunch of the different subdivisions. And that seems to be very positive. So I'll continue to work on that. We also hit the 126 intersection at the post office, talking to some of our senators about getting some potential federal dollars to move that forward a little quicker. And I'll let Susie hit a couple of the other ones. Before I move on, though, I'd like to thank Senator McLean. It looks like we may be getting some dollars for our horse racing, as well as increasing the 1%, something we've been working on for a really long time for the fairgrounds. And I talked to him the other day. He seemed to think that was a realistic outcome. And I know that he's worked really hard for that, as well as the county pushing for that, because that would quadruple, I think, the money coming from the state to our fairgrounds, which is very much needed. So
It would be 260,000 annually would be what we would see to the fairgrounds. And then the horse racing thing, like I say, yesterday we had an early morning caucus with senators and representatives. And I thought it was 5 horse racing entities for $1 million. But I was mistaken, and it's $1 million a piece, which is really exciting. And they all indicated that they felt that it was a very positive that we were going to get this through. So that will really, really help our fairgrounds. So I went to NACO. It was very, very interesting. I actually even had a little card that called me honorable, and I got to hold it up and vote. So I just want you to know how special I am. It was for public lands. We had Tom Schultz come from he's the head of forestry. We had the BLM guy come. It was very, very interesting to do. And then I was very fortunate to get to go to meet Tom Schultz with a Harney County Commissioner, a Walla County Commissioner, and a Union County Commissioner. And we talked to him about fixing our forests and stuff. This is an interesting thing when you think about Prineville. So we talked about the fact that the last sawmill in here has closed. And secondary products are a very big part of that because they have no market for their secondary products. And what he can't push, but is discussing with the energy department, is the need for biomass, so that when you have a sawmill, there's a biomass right next to it, and you're getting energy out of these secondary products that have no market, which I found that was very, very interesting to go. And like I say, we were at the building with the forestry and all of that. The other thing that we really pushed very hard, particularly me, because it not only affects my ranch, but affects all my neighbors, is delisting of the wolf. We talked to both Senator Wyden and Senator Merkley, and Seth Taylor of Jefferson County had a very good twist on it, because instead of talking about the deprivation and what it's causing to our ranches, he said, let's look at this as an endangered species, and we've succeeded. It's not endangered anymore. We know we have enough wolves here to take it off the thing, which was a very kind of a novel way. And he's right. We are to that part. So now we do need to delist the rest of Oregon, let our state ODF and W take it over, because they're the guys that are out there on the ground. And hopefully we can get that. It's hung up in the Senate. I was hoping one of our senators would take that on, but I don't think that's going to happen. But one can just, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. This is, oh, I also went to SNAP and Medicaid, which is as depressing as the subject is. Robert Kennedy came and spoke about health, which was very interesting because he's flipped the pyramid and actually now beef is good for you, which is kind of a nice thing. So it's very interesting. It was very nice to see the commissioners. One of the things we got to do, and there's, I believe, about 15 of us, is we went to see Congressman Vince and we had Chick-fil-A lunch. And then you put your name, and we talked to him, and you put your name in a baseball cap, and he drew out who got to go to the State of the Union address with him. And it was Joe Dukakis, who's the judge in Sherman County. And it was very cute because he came up to me and he had tears in his eyes and said, who would think an old stupid wheat farmer would get to go to the State of the Union? Which was really nice. Even though I didn't get picked, you had to be very happy for Joe because he's just such a nice man. So it was very good. And then I think that's when we went and saw Merkley. Seth was with us. And then Congressman Vince invited us to the Capitol Hill Club, which is a private club for Republicans. And we got to go down there and he bought us drinks. And then after that, we got to go to the Library of Congress for the Rural Action Caucus. What it is for rural people to be with urban people, which I don't know that I needed that, but it was at the Library of Congress and they had wine and beer and desserts. So it was very interesting, not only for what you heard, but for what you got to do and see and all of that. So it's a good thing. But now I'm getting back to two different other things that are local. One is the Crooked River Roundup is having their kickoff party for their 2026 Queen. It will be Saturday, March 14th at Carrie Foster Hall. And it starts at 5 o'clock with their social hour, silent auction at 6 o'clock, and dinner is at 6:30. And then a dessert auction at 7. So if you can, that would be very nice for you to participate and support our roundup. So I got an email that Best Care, and I've got to look at the date, and I haven't found it yet, but they are doing a Restoring Hope, a community luncheon, which is join us for a meaningful gathering where community, compassion, and hope come together. And they have sponsorship opportunities. And because Best Care is our mental health contracted provider, I was wondering if I could make a motion for us to be a community partner, which is $500. It would get us 5 seats at this luncheon and honorable mention. So I just thought, because they're our contractor for mental health, I mean, obviously we're not going to do the 10,000 or anything, but I felt $500 was enough for us to show our support in the job that they do here in Crook County. So I make a motion to be a community partner sponsor for $500 for the Restoring Hope luncheon.
Second.
Any discussion? I think it's a good idea. I think they take care of a lot of people here and what we can do to help out.
And you know, I did the point in time count, which is where I slept on Monday night. And it was very interesting. You want them to tell you your story. You don't want to, you want to kind of have them tell your story. And when they would talk about Best Care, like I went to Best Care in these classes, I would say, oh, tell me about that, acting like I didn't know. And the patients that I talked to, I'm going to just say their patients, how encouraged they were about what they'd learned and how they had the place to drop in and they could take a shower. And so it really kind of made me feel better about them being our contracted server, because now you're talking to the people that they're serving. So like I say, I just think it's a good thing for us to do.
All those in favor?
Hermrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
The only things I would also add to the trip is that we also talked about increasing timber production in the forests, getting rid of the 21-inch rule. And then what was the other one? It was called
Fix the
FAST,
Forest, the Speed Act,
Speed
which shuts
Act,
down the
which is-
permitting.
which is one of, yeah.
Again, our secondary products are a big thing, and not just here in Oregon. They're everywhere in the West with the timber. And everybody's saying, what do we do with these? And I just found it, I didn't mention Prineville, but I found it very interesting that we've had this big thing about biomass. yet they're thinking that this might be the solution to the secondary products. And I brought up to Tom Schultz how basically we have vertical matchsticks in the Ochicos because of sun fir death and pine beetle death. And that's what they are. They're vertical matchsticks. And all it takes is one strike of lightning in the fall when everything's dry. And with this drought coming, I'm very fearful. And also, if you live out in my area, they're dropping your insurance. And that's pretty frightening thought also. You know, you can't even get insurance. You're now self-insured. So this wildfire thing is a very big topic.
And the Speed Act would speed up all the federal rules that slow things down and really kind of try and find a new way around the process of different groups stopping projects. And I think it's something that we've needed for a really long time. So I think that's,
Yes.
you know, if we can get a couple of those things passed, including the wolves, then I think Crook County will be in a much better place.
And I think that I find, and I'm sure Seth finds this, Eastern Oregon, we have really solidified as commissioners. And part of that is because of county college. Like I told Will, I wish he was there because he graduated county college with me and they were friends of his too. We've solidified, and I think we've become stronger because of how strong we become as Eastern Oregon allies, because they just don't understand in Portland what we go through on this half of the state. And that was good to get there and to be with your other commissioners and to go and kind of tag team your stories. When we were at a table, we just all seemed to work. We just all seemed to fit and work together. And it's really pleasant to have that.
Great. Any more public comment?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, just because we said nice things about you now.
I couldn't help myself. Tim DeBoot. So, I too had the opportunity to be in Washington, D.C. a couple, 3 weeks ago. I was representing Oregon Farm Bureau. I serve on an issue advisory committee dealing with federal lands. And I haven't had a chance to brief any of you since I got back, so I thought I'd quick take that moment and do it today because it wasn't a part of my job with the county. Like I said, I was representing Oregon Farm Bureau when I went back there, but we had the opportunity, our issues that we talked about on federal lands, of course, covered many of what you guys talked about at NACO. What we learned was that this current administration is very interested in supporting the beef cattle industry nationwide, working hard to try to figure out how to turn a downward slope of reducing cow numbers nationwide to flatten out and perhaps rebuild some of our cow herds. From a USDA standpoint and a Forest Service BLM standpoint, of course, they don't really can't influence markets and that kind of thing, but what they do provide is forage through allocating permits on allotments. And so the forest and the BLM have been charged with identifying what they call vacant allotments and figuring out how to get those allotments repopulated. And so locally, we've been conversing since I got back with both the Ochiko National Forest and the Prineville BLM district to see how they are moving forward in that process. And next week at the Natural Resources Advisory Committee, both those agencies will be talking about that process as they're moving forward. As Commissioner Crawford mentioned, one of the course, the still stumbling blocks is once they identify those vacant allotments and try to repopulate them, we still have to go through NEPA. NEPA still is a long drawn out process that can have lots of barriers as they move through. But fortunately, there are efforts to streamline NEPA. There's administrative direction to expedite NEPA, but we'll just still have to see how that process works. We got to meet the new Undersecretary of Agriculture, whose sole job is to oversee the Forest Service. He's an individual out of Idaho, very straightforward, no nonsense kind of fella. in the conversation we had. And his big push is this whole vacant allotment, grazing issues that are going on. We then got to meet with the senior aides for the Senate Energy and Natural Resource Committee, where we talked about the same sort of thing. We talked about some of the wild horse issues, and we talked about a couple other things as it relates to public lands. And then we ended the day with getting to meet with the consortium of data centers. It's evidently a nationwide group of all the different data center companies. They're an organization, and there was quite a representation of individuals kind of just presenting on a nationwide basis where the data center industry is its interaction with agriculture from a standpoint of water and energy use, and how they're trying to reduce conflicts in that arena. And then on the west, again, because private land is limited, the siting of some of those data centers on public lands and how that might move forward. So that was an interesting conversation. On the following day, before I came home, we did get to meet with Congressional Representative Van Hoyle out of Eugene. She is a very pro-forestry individual. And so we had a lot of good conversations about getting back in the woods, the difficulty of not having infrastructure to support the expanding forest direction, the harvest goals and objectives, and what we might do with labor and industry trying to sort of rebuild the processing side of our forest industry. So that was kind of that conversation. We also encouraged her to come out in support or against IP 28, given where she represents this part of Oregon, her part of Oregon. It's kind of important to have some leadership supporting the failure of that initiative if it ends up on the November ballot. That's the anti-livestock, anti-fishing, anti-hunting, anti-rodent control, anything that has to do with the management of animals or taking of animals, that kind of stuff. And also specific to her neck of the woods, the Lane County Watershed Initiative, which is, if it were to pass in Lane County, would create significant barriers to land management because it would allow anybody to sue anybody if they thought I disturbed nature. So even like the road department replacing a culvert, disturbing soils, disturbing soil microorganisms, somebody could sue the county for abusing that kind of deal. So that's if you're not familiar with that, there's a big effort in the valley to fight that piece of legislation as well. It'll be on the May ballot. And then finally, we got to meet with the senior aides for Senator Merkley. We too brought up the wolf issue, hoping that our two senators would provide leadership. They've been kind of silent on that issue. It's in their hands. We too tried to convince them that removing it off the Endangered Species Act would not mean the elimination of the wolf. Our state's game and fish departments are adequately staffed to manage the wolf, take over that responsibility. We tried to remind them that the wolf reintroduction program started in 3 states. Wolves are now in 8 states. Other than Colorado, nobody else intentionally released wolves into their states. They've just, as populations have increased, they've moved into those states. So we would agree that, clearly the reintroduction of wolf is a success, and it's time to move them off the endangered species list and back into sort of state management. Unfortunately, we didn't get a commitment from the senator's office, but what we did get is they would tell him what our concerns were. So that sort of wrapped up our day, and we came home. So, but I wanted to share those things with you because they sort of matched what you guys were talking about when you were back there.
Thank you, Tim.
Yep. Thanks, Tim.
One of the things, is when you go back there and you meet these new people that are the head, and I went to Veterans Services, and the guy that's the head of Veteran Services, he's from Georgia. And he sat there, and when he took on after Biden era, there were 280,000 cases. And they have went through and now they're at 100,000 and he hopes within the next 6 months to clear them. But what is really, really refreshing is he gives you his card and he says, if you have a veteran in trouble, call me. I'll get it done. And that's kind of the attitude with even the forestry guy and the BLM that I found super refreshing. They're reachable. They're talkable. You don't have to be some fancy speech writer or anything like that. You can just talk to them, like you say, about what's going on and the facts and how it affects. And that's really a nice thing, a very nice thing to know that you can go in a room and get your point across and not have to use big words or fancy sentences, that they just get it.
And I can tell you that's not how it's been in past administrations. That's not how in different times I've been back there, that's not the same interaction that I've had.
No, it's just like I
It's
say.
really refreshing.
Yes, so
really
and I'm
refreshing.
using veterans just because of his example. Like, this is the way we should have the heads of departments of our nation, that you can walk up and you can get a hold of them and you can talk to them. So I really am very pleased with everything that I went through.
Anybody else? Anybody online? Okay, we will now go to the executive session.
Well, don't we need to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
No.
No.
Oh, that's right. No, what am I thinking? I'm off. I'm not.
The Crook County Board of Commissioners will now meet in executive session under ORS 101, ORS 1926602E to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions, and ORS 1926602F to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report any deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. The Crook County Board of Commissioners will now leave executive session under ORS 1926602E to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions, and ORS 1926602F to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection. Representatives of the news media designated staff are allowed to attend the executive session. All members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report any deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session is previously announced. No decision was made in the executive session. We now return to the open session and welcome the audience back into the room.
Commissioners, let me recommend first regarding the subject under 2E for real property. What I think I heard was that the county wants to move forward, so I might recommend a motion to approve the letters of intent as discussed in the executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Irma, aye.
Crawford, aye.
And then for the topic under 2F, what I think I heard would lead me to suggest a motion to authorize staff to participate in the third-party mediation subject to the parameters discussed in the executive session.
So move.
So I second.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
All those in favor?
Irma, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So move.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Okay.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.